bid thee welcome to NWN 6 o'clock broadcast this January's Eve. I'm Catherine Clifton, joined here by my compatriot Elizabeth Kensington. Elizabeth, prithee tell us of the news.
Many thanks, Catherine. Tonight we bring you what may be the final update on what can be only called a year from hell. The Salem witch trials appear to be finally waning in action. Local reports have come through that a superior court has found that the accused Sarah Buckley, Margaret Jacobs, Rebecca Jacobs, and Job Tukey, who had been indicted last September, are not guilty of the charges laid against them.
As stated, last September a mass indictment occurred in what now will most likely be remembered as the worst period within the trials. Luckily, most of the accused have all been found not guilty of witchcraft and sacrilegious practices, with small lot of 3 being found guilty, one of whom was identified as a slave to one of the other convicted individuals. But how did these trials get so out of hand so quickly, and why now is it coming so quickly to an end? Tonight we're bringing you a special report from the NWN newsstream, Salem, the Devil's Year.
But first we bring you some recent news. This morning, a local man was arrested briefly and then released from custody just hours later for what seemed to be an unjust practice. Mary Boyd with us has the report.
Well, I was simply just harvesting my crop. When out from the tree line, I seen the constable. He yelled at me, "Pray thee, what do ye grow here?"
Ignatius Thorogood was simply out harvesting his hemp crop while the sun rose from the east. It was then a constable of the province entered his homestead.
He told me, "Well, sir, that crop you have there is due to be illegal in this province." And without another word, he approached me and constrained me by the hands. 'Twas only a short walk to the courthouse, and I sat there for hours.
Did the constable ever tell you why your harvest was due to become illegal?
There was a mention of some lumbermen bringing their industry to town, but I don't know what that has to do with what I be growing. I sell my harvest to rope makers and craftsmen.
This reporter has just learned that the lumbermen Ignatius mentioned were in fact the lumber industry itself. Several sources have reported that hemp farmers may want to reconsider their harvest, as hemp is a substitute for one of our most precious materials, parchment paper, leading some to wonder, is lumber really going to strong-arm its way into our books and homes? Only time will tell.
Thank you, Mary. We'll be right back after this break with our special report, Salem, the Devil's Year. Stay tuned.
Have you ever felt the power of the horse? That soft, bouncing sensation as you hit the long and winding road. It's that feeling you get when you're about to ride into greatness. Well, that's the feeling of the all-new New World Wagoneer, a full horsepower with front and rear steering. And join us for our New World sales event, where you can trade in any healthy livestock and get a major discount. The all-new New World Wagoneer, because where you're going, you'll only need the best.
Welcome back to NWN. And now the NWN news team and our reporter in the field, Elwyn Fairchild, come to you with our special report on the Salem witch trials in the year our Lord, 1692.
Salem, Massachusetts, a small community founded in the year 1626 by English fishermen and tradespeople, is home to many things. First, it was the natives of this land, then to English colonizers. But most recently, it allegedly belonged to a very special group of individuals, witches.
These girls, wow, they were perhaps making cauldron boils. They were getting together at night. They were doing wicked, wicked things, I tell you. And the crooked church did nothing about it, not a damn thing. I was the only one. I did the best thing I could for those girls. I brought them to court.
This is Reverend Samuel Parris, a man who witnessed his own daughter, Betty Parris, and her friend, Abigail Williams, behaving strangely in January last year. It was right here where both girls started convulsing, complaining of headaches and speaking in tongues. It didn't take long for a preacher of God to lay the blame on someone who may be deemed as an easy target.
It was Tituba, very terrible woman, very nasty witch. She possessed the girls. I told them, don't mess with Tituba. And then Tituba, she came. I can't help it. And now it's one of the best witch hunts ever. I've made this witch hunt better than any witch hunt that there's ever been. In the history books, they'll write down, wow, what a witch hunt.
Tituba was a Native American slave owned by the Reverend, and to this day remains behind bars until trial. Samuel Parris believed that she had told the girls tales of voodoo and devil worship while they were in their care. This sparked a round of accusations that eventually resulted in what some are calling mass hysteria.
The devastation of what these girls started cannot be understated. Nearly 200 people in the small village have been accused. 19 have been tried and hanged by the neck, and the stones. Oh, the stones.
The stones Mary is referring to came about in September of 1692, when a local farmer, Giles Corey, was accused of witchcraft by his own wife. But Corey, being a businessman, knew the laws of the land. He refused to plead anything to the charges. One may not be tried for a plea they did not make. Because of this legal loophole, he was arrested and began the painful process known as peine de forte due, or pressing. There, on September 17th, Giles Corey suffered under unfathomable amounts of weight for hours upon hours. Sheriff George Corwin coercing him into pleading guilty the entirety of his torture. After pressing an amount not yet seen in this colony, he was asked if he would speak. Corey simply replied, "More weight." The morning of September 19th, Giles Corey died as a result of the pressing, never wavering in his resolve, and ultimately his innocence. 3 days later, his wife was hanged for practicing witchcraft as well. More and more doubt came to light, and the use of spectral evidence was deemed improper and rejected by the higher courts of the land. In these months to come, we can only hope to ease the pain of those involved in such a reckless pursuit of righteousness. This is Elwyn Fairchild of NWN, reporting from Salem, Mass. Back to you in the studio.
The use of spectral evidence in these trials was determined to be the main cause of so many convictions within these trials, despite the fact that evidence presented was deemed spectral, as they were often the testimony of dreams or visions of those committing witchcraft, resulting in the accusation and trials of women and men, some only being 4 years old when tried.
We'll be back after this brief break.
Have ye worked up an appetite? The morn cometh like the Iceman, and ye hath burnt the hunger like no man, nay, no human hath before. So come on down and try Macbeth's new Macbeth Deluxe sandwich. 2 tenderloins from a cattle that trusted the very butcher that took its life away, betwixt 2 handcrafted artisan buns, and risen from the very depths of hell itself. Hark and heed me warning, and beware uttering thine very name, lest ye be cursed with hunger. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba! I covet it!
We've come to the end of our broadcast this evening, where we wish to remember those unjustly accused and tried during what will go down in this new world's history as one of the most senseless and brutal witch hunts that resulted in the loss of so much potential.
Here at NWN, we want to recognize those lost to what can only be described as a year from hell. The names are as follows. On June 10th, Bridget Bishop. On July 19th, Rebecca Nurse, Sarah Good, Susanna Martin, Elizabeth Howe, Sarah Wilds. On August 19th, George Burrows, Martha Carrier, John Willard, George Jacob Sr., John Proctor. On September 19th, Giles Corey. On September 22nd, Martha Corey, Mary Eastie, Ann Pudiator, Alice Parker, Mary Parker, Wilmot Red, Margaret Scott, Samuel Wardwell, and the other accused witches who died during the prison sentence: Sarah Osborne, Roger Toothaker, Lyndia Dustin, Ann Foster.
The true number of those lost may never be known. It's suspected as many as 13 more people, men, women, even children, may have been put to death in one way or another. Though we may never know who they are, we move forward knowing that educating the new world around us is the best way to prevent a tragedy like this from ever occurring again. This is Catherine Clifton and Elizabeth Kensington of NWN signing off. Good night.